Hi guys, this is Dandelion Song, and I want to take some time to take a look at this document that was briefly released on the internet and then redacted, and I have listened to a few videos now. I have some more to listen to try to get an idea of what other researchers have found before I gematria this. One of my initial findings though is that on this page, okay, so I guess these, let me just pause and go to this website. This person says that he is reading on a page that says, maybe it's this page, let me go to this page, that says that this is a test, this is only a test. So let me load this. Okay, so here it says, and we are on the NASA, it's neo.jpl.nasa.gov/pdc15/day3html. And so this is what that person in the video is looking at, the hypothetical impact scenario, day 3 release. This image shows the updated risk corridor for this asteroid traced by the red dot. So it was released according to this other this channel, WAPTEK2. He said that first it was released on the dark web, then it went all around the regular web, and then they redacted it, and now the mainstream media is making fun of it. I'm going to try to find some examples of the mainstream media making fun of it, because that gematria is going to tell us what's going to happen. So you can help me scoop that in too if you find something. I have my top 5 that I want to look at for the media. But in terms of this being a complete hoax, in terms of it being just an exercise, I want to bring your attention to this website, which is fallof1000suns.com/comets-in-2015 period HTML. And I'll just go to the top here so you can see it. Comets in 2015. I think I got this off of a Mr. Cotty in his descriptions. I think that's where I found this link, and a little fuzzy now on where I found this link because I didn't Google it. Well, if we come down here, there is an H5, and it is it says it's 2001. They say that they discovered this last year. Well, they might lie in their own dark documents, I don't know. But it's interesting that there's a H5 right here in the time frame, because this last comet, J6, is 926, and this one is 1021, which is quite a time distortion, really. However, what I want to point out to you is, say this was a real comet, say it was coming in October rather than in September, for them to be saying that it's not a real comet is kind of dubious when we have other sources showing that it's not they're not saying, oh yeah, I think this is a near-Earth object insignia, actually. Actually, I don't know what the T is. I wish I knew more about this. But according to this website, this is a real comet. So for them to say, oh, this is only an exercise, they should have picked a different comet name. That's what I'm saying. So a real quick look at NASA, because NASA equals the UN, and I had noticed that before, and it's 32 or 132, or this could be a 33 in the Jewish gematria, depending on how you look at it. And I just want to point out that Brain, Brian, and Cancer equal the same thing, but with a 44, which is the kill number in the simple gematria. If we put PDC H5 comet into the JCN 21 gematria comparison software, we have up on the top, we have for 7, these are all 7, then we'll get to this one that's 21. Tom Brokaw, Fear of God, Telephone, Phone Home, Cell Phone, Gnostic, and then we have a full 21 match for the name of. So I'm going to go back into that and see, because this could be code for the name of. So then we would need to find out what other word they're associating here. Russia, Lion of God, Noah's Ark. There's a lot of them here, you guys. Let me see if there's another one that's just 21. Here's another 21. Snakeweed. That one's kind of useful. Snakeweed. Let's look that up. Okay, here's broom snakeweed. This is an invasive plant. Alright, so the other interpretation of snakeweed is this Ninja Turtle character, and you're going to think I'm crazy, except for I've seen Ninja Turtle episodes that are heavily symbolic. So I'm here trying to search for like a little snippet of an episode that I can see that tells me about this character, because anyway, there's a lot of videos about buying this piece of plastic, but nothing about the symbolism or this character. Okay, so I'm gonna have to look a little further. All right, well, this might be hopeless, but one of my points here is that they do embed secrets into the depths of these children's theater type of media, and they do that so that if you notice it, you look like a ridiculous maniac. You know, there've been Mickey Mouse Club, I guess, has regular prophecy having to do with the end times and a comet. These things I have seen on the Renee M channel. She also has, if you want to see the Ninja Mutant Turtle episode that Renee M put on there, you can go to her channel, Renee M, and then put in the search box Ninja Turtles 923, just to see how specifically symbolic that episode is, having to do with turtles, 923, an ascension, and other revelations type of symbolism. So I was curious about snakeweed here. It looks like snakeweed was their getaway driver, and he mutated into a 12-foot regenerating mutant ivy weed dubbed snakeweed. So looks like he was on their side, and then he became mutantized, mutated. So that could symbolize something that was on. See, the turtle, I think, is symbolic, at least in the Renee M episode I saw, the turtle is symbolic of the earth. So that would mean that this was on the side of the earth and then it mutated. I don't know. You guys are going to think I'm crazy doing this, but I know I'm not supposed to say that anymore. Don't want to say that, but there are clues in here. It's just that I have only watched one episode of this. And I'm kind of proud of that. And it wasn't even a full episode, but actually let me go to the Renee M channel just to show you something else. So this shows a snakeweed as a minor villain. Good to know. I don't know. Maybe I think when they pick the names of these symbolic type of media, like Batman and all of these things, I think these characters, there's a lot of symbolism in here, and just because it's ridiculous doesn't mean that you shouldn't take a look at it. The reason why they make it ridiculous is so that when you do research it, you look ridiculous. And that serves the purpose of that they warned you, you didn't look, or you did look, and then they can ridicule you after that. Something like that. Alright, so here is the Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtle that points to 923 as a rapture event, and it is filled all the way to falcons. It even has a CERN reference in it, and it has wolf hybrid people having to do that with your Lupercalia tie-in. This is the only thing I've seen of Ninja Mutant Turtles, and it was enough to convince me that they probably do embed tons of symbolism in there. Alright, so just bear with me on the symbolism here. So this snakeweed was a person who was mutated into a green self-replicating plant monster that can track people and is very difficult to kill. And in this episode it says he's kidnapping people. So he lives in the sewer, and it says, so here's some symbolism, that he's kidnapping people to turn them into fertilizer. So this does kind of play into the idea of the elites eating humans in some form, or humans being food for them. So they do stop snakeweed's fertilizer, but they get tracking pods attached to their shells. Leo freezes him with liquid nitrogen, a chemical that causes instant deep freeze in anything or anyone it touches. But it doesn't kill him. Oh, and here he's resurrected by the creep. So we have a green guy who's resurrected. So this is almost like a dark Osiris type of person. Osiris, I think, is meant to be a sun god, so but he is god of the underworld. The sewers are in the underworld. So I'm just thinking this could, you know, this that they named this comet after something that matches with snakeweed. There is some symbolism in here about things that we see that the Freemasons care about. This is, you know, it's just a, you know, a veiled allusion to many of these themes that we're already familiar with. All right, so he was resurrected by this guy, the creep. So he takes one of snakeweed's claws and he uses it to grow a new snakeweed. This is cloning. That's easy to do with plants, but it's a reference to some of the technology that is hidden from us. Okay, so after resurrection, snakeweed turns into creepweed, a brownish soil-like creature with multiple long tentacles with spikes on them, a bug-like head, and 4 big glowing eyes and a mouth. Alright, so I might have accidentally stumbled upon the correct episode here. We do have an 823, an 823, and another 8. We could look at a different air date, but this one is season 3, 22, which is the Skull and Bones episode. And over here, it's the 74th episode overall, and it's about the creep takes Manhattan. So, let me just read this. Hold on. So in the book I was just reading about Nebuchadnezzar, it says in various sources, that Nebuchadnezzar died of a mind worm, a bug in his nose that went up and killed him, and he died of insanity. And he was opposing Enlil, or known as Yahweh. And he was on the side of Marduk Ra, known as later as Jesus. So in this episode, Donatello, which I think Donatello has a mind worm and begins working on a cure. The smart one finds himself slowly losing his intelligence after being exposed to a chemical he was using. You know, human beings are just like losing their intelligence. Meanwhile, the creep resurfaces in the city thanks to the same chemical and plans to team up with another plant mutant. So Donatello is the tallest turtle, and he is the brains of the team. So it's interesting because I've just been studying, since that crane fell in Mecca, next to the Kaaba, I was studying the symbolism of that cube as it is seen by the different main branches of Muslim. And they see the corner of the cube that has the black stone on it, or the stone, that corner is called divine intelligence. And that stone is supposedly, according to them, it's the embodiment of the angel of divine intelligence. And there's a story about how the angel got turned into a stone, and that the presence of the stone has to do with the protection of divine religion, the core of religion, I guess. I feel it's weird talking about it because I don't feel like an expert on this. But the geometry of it has to do with divine intelligence, and that the divine intelligence needs to be here, otherwise chaos will erupt. It's basically holding the earth together. So then here we have this guy in The Creep Takes Manhattan. He gets a brain worm, and he is the brains of the team. Okay, well, back to this. The orbital eccentricity is 0.49. That's a double 7. Over here, its mean distance from the sun is a 177. So you have two sets of 7 sevens, which for me, is pointing to, like, this could be a real comet, but all these numbers are fake, or this is a fake comet, and all these numbers are fake. So we have a 9 and a it looks like a 28 and a 27. Do you see a 9 and a 28 and a 27? These are the dates that oh yeah, 28's right there. Okay, yeah, so that's that date, but the 27 is also the, the birthday of the Jesuit order that we were referring to in the Pope series. The orbital period just happens to be 864, which is double 432, which is the harmonic sonic geometry number having to do with the speed of light. And if you watch sonic geometry and you study all these natural numbers that arise out of music, and you will see that 432 is one of their very central naturally arising numbers. And besides it being double that, this also kind of turns into an 888 number, which is triple Christ number. Then again, also we have a 23 and a 27 that with the outer valence is a 9. Okay, I hope you made it through the Ninja Turtle thing. I really do think there are clues in that. I don't know if I'm going to watch it, but we cannot discount the children's, whatever they're showing our children, because that's basically, they have unmonitored access to our children's minds through that. And of course they're going to put programming in there because the parent isn't watching usually with them. And if the parent is watching, they're not really understanding it. The orbital inclination is fairly small. I told you that they code these with 35s and 53s. This 35 and 53 is actually the same as the Bennu comet. And I've showed you that too before. I think it's RQ53. And the R and the Q add up to 35. The asteroid's orbit comes very close to the Earth's orbit on its outward leg, much like the Chelyabinsk impactor, but unlike this one, the Chelyabinsk, this asteroid impacts at an ascending node. Very little is known about the physical properties. Let's see, oh, I wanted to show you down, let me move this so you can see it. At discovery, it's still quite distant. 7, 6, do you see the 76? Or 32 million miles, that's the opposite of 23, or a mirror of 23. It's approaching our planet, slowly brightening. An impact is estimated to occur on September 28th, 2015, near Houston, Texas. See below. Be nice to see the second page, wouldn't it? All right, the Near Earth Object Program. So here's the Gematria, but it should be noted that just the N, E, O, and P is nope, which would tell you that that is a hoax. And maybe it's going to be a nuclear weapon, maybe it's just going to be some version of a hoax that we maybe don't understand. But here we have a 28 and a 23. Right. Probably some other numbers too. So if this comet is coming to Texas, that would be, or this program, I guess, it has the same gematria as the Lord Jesus Christ. Now, I don't agree with using this word for him. Christ, I think, is a good word that you can use. I think you can cast out demons with the word Christ. I've done that before. And I do actually want to do a video on that, because if CERN or some other reason causes a lowering of the veil before humans are ready, I have a feeling that you will need to cast demons out of yourself and your loved ones. So you can do that using the word Christ. Okay, this also matches Philosopher's Stone, JFK, who, you know, it's hard to know. We were taught what we were taught, but it seems like either he was truly assassinated or he was fake assassinated, but either way he was not allowed to be you know, in the public eye and continue on with his plan. So he probably had plans that were against the elite. So that would mean that this number could be a number of the positive, I guess you could say the positive military, the positive government, or the positive Illuminati. Now, Kennedy is one of the top 13 Illuminati houses. This is why I say you can't broad brush these people, because you don't know. So many Kennedys have paid for their with their lives, standing on behalf of the people. And Jimmy Carter is also a Kennedy. So, not saying that all Kennedys are good, just saying that we can't broad brush these houses. Now, I think this was the writing on the wall of Daniel 5, and I did a video on this. Horus and the all-seeing eye, that would be your pituitary gland, that would be your inner knowing. If you have your pituitary gland clean and working, people, you can't be lied to. And you could also be able to have your own answers immediately. Like, you know, this is why it seems like I'm seeing a lot of people on YouTube who are saying that this comet is a hoax, it's going to be a nuclear weapon. And I haven't really seen anybody come up with any physical, you know, reasoning for that, except for just, you know, the general distrust of what they're being told. So to me, I feel like these people are cluing into their inner knowing. They're cluing into something that they don't understand, that's telling them that this comet is not what they're telling us. So another thing about these numbers, you know, if you are gematria-ing your own name, or a lot of numbers are showing up in your life, you need to realize that the full spectrum of associations are here, and that what we have seen in terms of the Dark Illuminati, what they do is they take the good associations, they take the good symbols, they take the good frequency numbers, and they will assign dark happenings, dark names, dark characters to these good frequency numbers. And then these also show up in the Gematria search. So when if you are looking at this and you're looking at your own numbers, you really only want to use your heart to see which ones are going to matter. And that's kind of what I do. You know, I don't look at all of them. And it takes a little while to see. So anyway, that's what I suggest that you do, and that you need to realize that all of these frequencies, basically in everything, there's the full dark and the full light. Here's the acronym, I think that's called the acronym, the NEOP, stands for science, has a 300 and a 50, so that's pretty interesting gematria here. And the 50 and the 300 equal America, Apple, Paul, these are huge, Lion, Snake, Bush, Inri has a 923 in it, Owl has a 923 in it, Pink has a 923 in its raw gematria. This is also raw gematria with a 923. Pink has the 911 right in its Jewish gematria, as does Donald for Donald Duck. Probably we could, you know, search Donald Duck and try to find some clues according to their episode numbers. Fatima is very interesting that is here, because that is supposedly Muhammad had, now I can't remember. I think it was 12 sons and 1 daughter, and I was studying the Kaaba, and so the corners of the Kaaba have to do with the different imams. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but Fatima didn't qualify as an imam because she was a female. Some of the imams, Moses, Noah, Jesus, and then I think there's one more that's not a relative of Muhammad, or maybe Muhammad's one of them. And then Muhammad's children were supposed to be that, but all the boys died. But Fatima was the daughter, and she didn't die. She was the 13th. So she's seen by some people as being like not the hidden or occulted imam, because there's the 12th one is supposed to not be known, and it's supposed to have been born, I believe, in the 800s. and that it's either still alive or it's alive in the fourth dimension. But that's also not including Fatima, who was the only surviving child of Muhammad. So I really want to study more about this. And it's interesting that her numbers are here. This is the Salem of Jerusalem. The I Ching, there's I Ching symbolism having to do also with the black stone in the Kaaba. I'm not saying that they're right. I'm just saying that we need to study, or I need to study it to increase my understanding of everything. Mandela, sacred. Oh, here it's scared, but it could also be sacred. Prana, void. Pretty amazing how important this 50 is. One of my ideas about the 50 is that it's has to do with the double pi, because each pi is 25. So this would be a double pi, so this would be a Venus association. So here's all the asteroid code, and it does have a 33 and a 39. So that's interesting. You know, like the 69 and the 96, but this one has a 339 in the Jewish gematria, which could be code for something like repentance. And so asteroid could be code for the dollar bill. It could be code for union. So the union could crash, dollar bill could crash into Houston. We have to go see what Houston's code for, right? Asteroid is code for spirit. Phoenix, Liberty. Liberty could crash into Houston. Gog and Magog. Starseed, deception. Oh, deception. It matches, asteroid matches deception. That's the take-home message. I hope I can remember this. If I forget to say, oh, don't forget, Dandelion, you told us that asteroid equals deception in the Gematria 91 and 546. So 91 is going to be, I'm going to look at that now for deception tie-ins. Stargate, Hebrew Bible. Not saying that they're all deception, just these are esoteric connections. And we can't say that we understand esoteric connections. Roman Lion King. That's a very interesting, having to do with deception, because a lot of people think that Obama was born in Kenya, Hawaii, which is right next to Hell's Gate, which is the place where they based their film, The Lion King, from. Roman eagle. The Roman eagle is still on our dollar bill today. Mark of Cain, Newton, final days, the angels, oh, the pagans, deception. God of Abraham could be a deception. The angels, some of these are archons, of course, you know, they just pose as angels. I mean, we really have to question everything. Not that you have to throw everything out the window, you just need to question it. And you just need to kind of calm down to be able to have so many concepts out on the table that are in question status. Because the more things you question, the less you have to hold on to. And that's why you need the kingdom of God within, because you're not going to have too much to hold on to once you start to question everything. You just need to be okay with that. Okay, this web page is classified. Please refer to 7566. Now, someone pointed out rightfully, and I don't know if I pointed it out quickly enough. I think I pointed out in an earlier video that this, of course, could be falsified, because anybody can make it HTML. Anybody can make it look like this. But unless that person that's falsifying is really good at code, like an insider, they probably would have done a little bit more scattering on their code. It wouldn't be as tightly woven in the way that we see these things. It's like CNN, and you know that an insider coded this. This is 25, because it's a 13 and a 12. And 25 is our pi number. And we know they seem to worship pi, or at least refer to it constantly. All right, well, I do want to gematria some more things here, but I'm going to call this video good and go and study something else. And be safe, lovies. These are going to be some strange times. I think that the take-home message here for these times is to do not lose your humanity. Do not lose the core part of you that is good. In fact, some other teachers that I've been listening to, you know, more of spiritual teachers, not that I buy what they say, I just listen. I listen to everything. I listen to Cobra, even if it's a complete hoax. If these are insiders perpetuating a hoax, you can learn from that. So that's why I listen to it. That's why I read the newspaper, not because I believe the newspaper, because I want to see what I'm supposed to be buying. I want to see what I'm allowed to see, because if you look at it from a 180-degree perspective, you actually can learn a lot from something that's designed to be hoax. It's designed to be a hoax. Okay, so anyway, the spiritual teacher was teaching. Well, there's a few spiritual teachers. One of them, well, there's quite, hundreds. And there are some of them who are predicting different September dates as well. But this one, what she says is mostly that you want to be able to loosen your grip on what you hold on to. You want to, when you see things arise in your world, you need to look at it from a perspective of infinite truth. This is why I talk about the metaphor of the children in the sandbox, because if you spend your time hating different people, like say George Bush, you're not looking with the infinite eyes of truth. It will allow you to let go of your opinions, allow you to let go of some of your concepts that you're clinging white-knuckled to. For example, if you use a metaphor like children in the sandbox, where George Bush would be a blind type of bully, or a puppet character child in the sandbox, and in the sandbox you have bullies, you have people throwing sand, you have children playing quietly by themselves, you have kids helping other kids to build a castle, you have other kids knocking down castles. It's everything. Now, should any of these children go to hell? As if hell existed. But should they? No. Are any of these children unloved? If they were, it would just be the deficit of their parents. So if you see the world this way, and if you see the arising of things in your life, even dark characters in your life, in your local sandbox, in the sandbox of your personal world, if you see these as different innocent children having their various innocent journeys on their pathway of their own evolvement, then it takes all of the tightness out of what you see, and then you will see with the eyes of infinite truth, the eyes of love. And I believe that this is how the true God, the kingdom of God, not so much Yahweh, but the God that's above all the galactic politics, the God that's above the Vatican, the God that's above everything, would see this creation. It would see this as a place for the innocent to explore how they're going to react to different stimuli. It's basically a big sandbox and a bunch of innocent, lovable children. No matter how they act, if you see them with innocence and love, then I think you're getting closer to the infinite eyes of truth. And if, say, you're in the sandbox and you see fighting, sand throwing, that's kind of disturbing, and you're worried about your personal safety possibly, but you will be calmer and more centered in the moment if you look at that happening with wise eyes, and you see that these are just the waves on the surface, and you don't need to vilify these people. This is just what's happening here. And then if you do that, it will give you a chance to connect with your wisdom when you decide what to do or how to act. All right, love you guys. Hope you're having a good day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.